Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of Commerce Chats. It's great to be talking to you all again. Thanks for tuning in. For those of you that don't know about Commerce Chats is EICOM Institute's podcast style discussion with professionals from the industry. We have deep conversations about complex topics, try and break some of these complex topics down, and generally just try and connect with people in the industry who are doing great things, exciting things, and try and bring this to everyday people in e-commerce. So we're very lucky today to be joined by someone special. But before we get started, for those of you new listeners, ACOM Institute is a institute focused on digital transformation education. Transformation e-commerce, specifically focused at retail. We have a number of different initiatives ranging from our CMX exams to our executive program aimed at senior professionals, to our white papers, all the way to our in-company education, where we go inside companies and we give them a curriculum of education. We do a number of fantastic things. So if you want to increase your knowledge in digital commerce, or you want to bring this education to your team, then reach out to myself, reach out to ACOM Institute, have a look at what we do. Start a conversation with us. We love talking to everyone in the industry. Um, we love networking. We love having these discussions from people from all across the world about how they're impacting people. So yeah, that's us. Again, reach out to us on our website. You can contact me via LinkedIn. Now, today's topic is really interesting. This professional is from a organization which is essentially a mobile application and a retail delivery startup that allows purchases from your favorite brands to be delivered to you in minutes. And when I mean minutes, I really mean minutes, not a couple of hours, not sort of end of the day. It's really impressive stuff. So, yeah, without further ado, and can do a better job by introducing the company, I'd like to welcome Rafa Pinto, who's the supply chain director at Daki. Hey, Rafa, how are you?
Hi, Krish. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Very happy to be here with everybody.
No, awesome. I think I've been enjoying our chats actually. We had a few discussions in the week just about what you folks are doing at Daki. But did I give you a good introduction there? Is that have I summed it up? A mobile application, retail delivery startup. How would you describe it?
Yeah, I think it's a very good summary. Our intention is kind of, be the one app for online grocery in Brazil, and then after outside Brazil. We're starting with what we call the toughest, the more hard things, right? Which is delivering minutes. And this is pretty much that we call it as essentials on demand. So all your essential stuff, grocery delivery, in
Yeah.
minutes. That's it.
So we talk about deliveries from essential grocery, retail, but this kind of delivery within a few minutes, this is called quick commerce, right? That's what we're talking about here today, quick commerce. And not just um, commerce things that arrive to you quickly, but this actual delivery method, this supply chain methodology, this is called quick commerce. And I think this quick commerce, what's the difference between that and me receiving something tomorrow from Amazon? What's the difference? What's that fundamental difference?
Yeah, you have to upfront your inventories, right?
Okay.
That's the key strategy. Yeah, you have to locate the inventories close to the delivery area, right? So to the customers, and we use dark stores for that, right?
Okay.
What Amazon does is like putting in a big warehouse and then delivering to your home, and then this window of time obviously is longer and less precise, right? Because things can happen during the day. And that's why they don't promise a super narrow window, because it can be, delayed, and that's why I think e-commerce born, because the grocery experience, uh, online or offline, is not, the best experience. If you go to offline,
Yeah.
you have to get you park your car, then you have calls for, for buying stuff and looking for your stuff, etc., etc. So it's not best. And then you go grocery online, you have to be waiting for
Yeah.
the stuff to arrive, because it usually cannot be, delivered on the doorstep or something like that, because they're perishables. So
Yeah.
you have to be there. So, and then quick commerce fits right in, right? I'm here, I want it now, and then just click and deliver. That's the magic. Is pure 100% focus on the user needs and experience.
Yeah, that's interesting. So I like the way that you broke that up, as in you have the Amazons and the traditional e-commerce, perhaps of, it'll arrive tomorrow, it'll arrive then. And then you have the online deliveries of where I'm sitting around, I order groceries, I know when they're coming, but they're going to take, 24 hours, 48 hours. But yours fits in the middle, which is where I want it now. What's your kind of no, I'm not going to jump over the place, 'cause this is a really interesting topic and a really interesting vertical. But why did we decide that this was worth talking about? Why do we think that people need to hear about this? I think that it's something that is quite nuanced and challenging to understand, and there's so many different variables that can affect the success. So hopefully in this conversation we'll talk about the keys to success as well. So um just before I kind of get into it, um Hafa, could you tell me a little bit about your professional experience, your I'd like to get to know you. If people in the audience here, they want to become a supply chain director like yourself, they want to follow in your footsteps. How did you get to where you got to right now? What's the journey been like?
Yeah, I'm a passionate guy, and everything I do from, what I love. And
Yeah.
supply chain is part of things that I have always, liked a lot. Started very very early in my career working in supply chain. I'd say one of the big, uh, I'd say, schools that I had is one of 3PL, the DHL. Yeah,
Hmm.
most people may know. So yeah, I started there, and then I moved to consulting. Right, it was like excellent, right? Because then I mixed it up the operation skills and, get things done skills from DHL with strategic thinking. So then I blended them, and then I was, started on Daki, which is startup, which I require both, right? So now I have the understanding how get things done, right? And also the strategic view and broad and deep to make sure we are picking the right choices. Because when we move fast, as we are
Hmm.
growing very very fast, you have to be very keen on your decisions, right? And that's I think it was the two things that I'm very honored to have, right? And it's pretty much like that. I was, when I started supply chain, it was something new in Brazil. I got to know inside school, with your professor, a teacher there that was teaching supply, and then I got addicted to it, and then, just followed my lead and my gut,
Yeah, you must have learned a lot
pretty
at
much.
DHL though, right? Like in terms of going from, I like that dynamic, going from DHL and then to a startup. It seems like it's many people do this sort of transition in e-commerce and commerce, where they either go from a startup to a big company or from a big company to a startup. I feel like at some point most people have worked in a startup as well. What has that difference been like for you, like from DHL to a startup, where maybe you might have to do things at Daki that at DHL there might have
Yeah.
been an entire team for? I don't know. These are my
No, it's super interesting, because when you are a startup, you have always been, we call it the magnifying glass, and
yeah.
also the telescope, right? So you have to keep things running with the magnifying glass, very detailed, etc., and at the same time building up, the long term capabilities. Otherwise, you won't be able to keep growing. So you're at the 100% of your time you are dealing with things structural and long term,
Hmm.
and at the same time, keeping the pace up. I'd say the difference in DHL, we obviously had this kind of stuff, but it's not so blended together on the same, people
Yeah.
and on the same teams and at the same time. The speed is very uh, is another beast, I would say.
Yeah. No.
But obviously there are good things, right? Because of that, because then you have the opportunity, to test, learn, to do things your own, things that you have always imagined, to understand how this would work, and then you have, the playground to do it. So it's pretty much, I recommend everybody to taking, say, a time in startups, because it's, you just, it's an MBA
Yeah.
on your, daily basis.
We hear that comparison all the time, right? Being in a startup is years of experience, and it's some people compare it to an MBA. So yeah, awesome. Any young professionals out there that are interested in kind of the journey towards a supply chain director, there you've heard it first. So, um, I would like to get into your mind a little bit more personally here. As a supply chain professional, as Rafa Pinto from Daki, what's your day like? Give me your 9 to 5. Give me your kind of like, what do you do when you wake up in the morning? Are you kind of waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, or like you hear, or are you, what's your, what is it like? Give me a day.
Yeah. As I said, I'm very passionate guy, and one of my passions is cycling.
Okay.
So I usually wake up 4 a.m. to go for a ride. Right. Today I've, for example, rode 80 kilometers.
Amazing.
It's like my daily life, because it's my time, to clean up the
Mm,
mind and focus on everything that I like. You have to have time in your day for yourself. This is
yeah.
my start of my journey every day. So I usually start working very, very early. So around 8 o'clock, 7:30, I'm already, set for starting the journey after the ride.
Hmm.
And the first thing is, and on every retail, is checking the last day. We retailers are about, this it's every day. It's an
Mm,
everyday business. If you are not, pedaling the bike, it will fall.
beautiful. Yeah.
So it's every day. So I check, how was, yesterday's sales, the margin, the business things, right? And then the particular KPIs from the operation, how the disease went, the dark stores went, how is our availability, inventory losses, etc. So we have tons of KPIs, which is very, very good to being a tech company, right? Because we have, online real time
Hmm.
data, right? So so I'd say I spend the first 30 minutes of my day checking the KPIs. Eventually, if there is an pop up, something, an alert, just, talk with the
Yeah.
team to see what's happening, and eventually take some decision to steer the direction. Then usually we have some uh, daily, weekly governances with the company, with my peers, and also with my team, right? So usually we have some of that, to make sure the plan is there, and are we very close to that, etc. So it's usually we participate in some of that. Then usually you have also some these projects, structure projects, touch points to make sure things are also running. And then usually one-to-ones with the team. This is something I invest a lot of time. So not just to my direct team, but also with the directs from the directs. I talk with them very often to make sure, because then it's about caring the people and also being open to hear, because it's very precious insight. Um, Something I do a lot as well is going to field visits
Hmm.
for hubs. We call dark stores hubs here, and also the DCs, because the Gamba walk
Yeah.
from the lean manufacturer is something that I learned in DHL. It was absolutely crucial,
So
because
so
when
t-
you're
tell
there.
Tell us some more about that. I love this. The Gemba walk. It's from a Japanese derived
Yeah,
practice, right?
yeah,
Tell us what is that for those that don't know what that is.
yeah.
What is
It's
it?
pretty much, you know, you have your theory in our mind of the KPIs and how things are going,
Hmm.
and then you go there and you see with your eyes and you see, actually, the challenge is a little bit
In
different, right?
practice, right?
In practice, because then you see what's happening, and also you understand the conditions of the people who is working on every day to make sure they have the best conditions. So we can pick up eventually an example, right? So you have I'd say picking inside of the DC, and the DC is very complicated. The productivity is not ramping up. So what might be happening? Then you go on the and no, let's change the layout, and let's maybe there is something
Hmm.
about the process or the picking lines or whatever. And then you go on the shop floor, and you understand that there's a part of the warehouse which the Wi-Fi is not working. It's just
It's
simple things
crazy.
as
Yeah.
that. It's crazy, man, but this impacts on the business. So
Hmm.
and obviously it's the supervisor, the managers, everybody goes there and check, right? It's part of their game as well. But I love to be there because I learn a lot. And then when I take decisions, I take decision, understanding the reality and trying, to fit the reality inside the decisions and to connect the strategy with the reality. You have to build this bridge, and this is very, very important.
Interesting. And then sort of that's your very busy, action-packed day. That's from start to
Usually, yeah, usually, and at
really
the
interesting.
end, yeah, it's pretty much that like that. So talking with people, Gemba walk, routines, governance with the team,
Your analysis at
projects,
the end,
etc.
and then
And
sort of
also there's something that's very important to talk about that I forgot. Is an important part of my day. In startups, we put the hands on the deck.
mhm,
So I do thousands of analyses and presentations, whatever. I see the team maybe is overloaded, and then I use my time to help them, to
yeah,
crack the case, to problem solve, to sit with them, and because we believe, it's not just about taking the decisions, right? You can help, right?
yeah,
And the experience that we have, usually we know some shortcuts for doing the analysis, for example. So one thing that is very interesting, because after my 40 years, I had to learn SQL.
mm,
I didn't know,
no,
and it was super interesting, because then I can understand the data, and do
you can
the
get
analysis
involved,
that
right?
we need. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
and I go deep on the analysis. So
I think
it's
that's
it's it's
interesting.
very good.
I think
Yeah.
constantly learning. Right, let's get into some of the more serious stuff. Okay, so quick commerce. This is the discussion point. This is what I want to talk to you about. Quick commerce. What is it? What's the history behind it? Why should we care about it? And eventually, in 5 years' time, where do we see quick commerce going? So yeah, I threw a lot at you there. If you could just give me a little breakdown, I'd love that.
I think quick commerce is here to stay, right? Because it's a consumer need.
Hmm,
You need to buy your groceries, right? And the experience is not good, as I said, online or offline. It's not good. So quick commerce is here to solve a real deal problem, which is I need to buy my groceries, and the options I have maybe don't suit me the best. So it should provide. So it's 100% user and customer centric to provide the best experience buying groceries. And we starting with groceries because it's where the experience is the worst, right? Uh,
hmm,
so and what I think it's here to stay, because it's there. It's you're solving a problem that is there, right? Which is the main challenge with quick commerce, is doing that in a sustainable unit economics.
Yeah. What is so bad about the grocery journey that you are trying to solve though, or how are you solving it?
Okay.
What is that thing that you do that this is the answer? Like is it a better app journey? Is it the fact that it just gets here quicker? What is that? What does Daki do
No, I
differently?
think the full experience has to be, seamless, right?
Mm,
I think when you go, for example, for offline shopping, in my view, my personal view, I don't like going. So the full experience is sucks.
yeah.
Sorry for the
That's okay.
because it's like it's it's take a lot of time, right? For you have a busy agenda, you take 1 hour is something to do your groceries. I
Mm,
won't do this on the during the week because it's full. And during the weekend, I'm looking for other things, right? Rather than go to grocery.
absolutely.
So offline is for me not best experience, obviously. And the online, the main point is it's what I was talking at the beginning, right? Uh, you usually has to be on the delivery address, your home or whatever, waiting for the delivery to come, especially in Brazil. The options that we have it's pretty much that. So they say no, we'll deliver that tomorrow in this 2 4 hour window. So if you're not there, it won't be delivered. You have to be there waiting, and then you are here, as we are now talking, and then the doorbells.
Like it did earlier, just before
Yeah,
we started
yeah,
recording. Yeah, I had to go and get
yeah.
the door. I was like, I forgot I booked that. The worst experience. Okay, that's a
That's
real
it.
practical example, right? Just
That's
for the
it. That's
audience
it.
listening, before we were recording, my grocery arrived, and I totally forgot I ordered it. I ordered it at a time that was convenient, but today's not convenient. And yeah, okay, so interesting. So that's a real example.
That's
Really
it.
nice.
And then
That's interesting.
yeah, yeah. And if here we first no, we finish the call and they say no, I want now, and then boom, and then it's in our home. So it's seamless, right? One click, you select everything. The app obviously has to be friendly, etc.
Mm,
But to get access to something that you need without this, trouble to receive it, it's really powerful.
interesting.
So we sustain a very very high NPS. It's over 80s every day. So it's like for our life. So it's like because it's that when you experiment, you say, wow, this is different, right? Because it's very instant.
Yeah.
And the key to be instant, as I said, is to place the inventory as close as possible to the demand.
Mm. We're gonna go into this a little bit more about how people can actually be successful at this. But do you have an example of Daki doing quick commerce? Could you give me a case study? I don't know if you can give me names or anything. That's fine if you can't. But do you have like an example of where you implemented quick commerce in a client of yours? Do you have something like this? Is that something you can share?
Not yet, but I think this is will be something because looking on the 5 year journey, as I said,
Yeah.
is here to stay. The main challenge is how you take the most money of that, right?
Mm.
So first, the quick commerce with dark stores, 1P dark stores operated as we do. So it's yeah,
As well. Okay. Right. So
but
for
they are third parties, but they are dedicated there. Yeah, but
they're
they are third
dedicated there.
parties.
So yeah, really interesting. That could be, the potential future of the technology and the knowledge that you guys, you all have there. It may be in the future we could see you working with other retailers to improve their experience. I could see how it can evolve from there.
Yeah.
Let's get into the keys to success. So we've talked about Daki, we've talked about what you do, we've talked about briefly, we've mentioned a few things briefly. We've said dark stores, we've said hubs, we've said uh drivers, we've said a few different things. What is the key for a successful implementation of quick commerce? And um I'd love to talk about your dark stores. I'd love to talk, or your hubs as you call them. I'd love to talk about that. What's the key for a successful implementation?
Yeah, first one is experience. You
Okay.
have to sustain a very good experience throughout the journey. The model itself does a good job, right? But you have to be reliable, you have to have assortment available, you have to control the experience. And that's why we started with the 1P, because we have control.
Hmm.
So experience is key. You have to sustain that, right? Otherwise, it's okay. I ordered, but it didn't arrive, so then it's not there. Okay,
Yeah.
so or it's not there, or we don't have the product I want. So experience is crucial. So it's this is I would say the first point, right? The second one, it's have I would say focus.
Okay.
This business is very very interesting, but as you may know, it's very hard to sustain good profit
Yeah.
and unit economics on this type of business. Is it possible? I think yes, we are cracking the case, right? But with very very focused, we are focused 100% on that. You have super smart people, very good team, everybody thinking, you know
No room for error
every day,
in this type of business, right?
focus on the execution and minor details. It's all about that. So focus is something that's crucial to thrive here, right? So and I'd say the third one, you have to be scalable, right? And
Hmm.
to be scalable, you need tech. That then you have, and the tech is proprietary as well.
Perfect.
So yeah, so then it's complicated to be, copied
Yeah.
because it's our own knowledge to be scaled, right?
And it
So
gets rid
I,
of that
I
question of, do you rent the software? Do you lease the software as a service, or do you create it?
no,
And in your case, proprietary software, the knowledge, the tech, all combined. You must be quite protective of this as well. It must be a hard thing just to even get those three things aligned: the tech, the people, the experience. Just to have those, to
yeah,
achieve that is must be difficult as
yeah,
well. But
yeah, definitely. But
the
it's
key.
everything, yeah, yeah. Focus on the user experience first, right?
Mm,
That's really really the we're not I'm not just saying for that, because otherwise we won't be
won't survive. Yeah.
thriving. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. What about you mentioned the hubs, the dark stores, the hubs. You get involved with the optimization of the physical layout, and I find this really interesting because there are not that many people that we speak to that are involved in the physical layout of a dark store, as well as the supply chain, as well as the tech. Could you tell me a little bit about that, and why
yeah,
our
sure.
audience needs to get involved in this, why they need to know how to break down walls, and what is that process like?
Man, it's super interesting because when
Yeah.
you talk about dark store, you people imagine, I think, something, a minor warehouse, or and it's
Yep.
very simple. And I think that's the powerful something that's very powerful in the business, because Daki started during the pandemic in 2021. It was finished the pandemic, and there are lots and lots of, unfortunately, business that
Yeah.
bankrupt
Didn't
and
make it. Yeah.
close. So you have restaurants, gyms. You had, several commercial buildings that were empty, and the rent was super low.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. We rent, pizza houses, old pizza house, old restaurants, old, whatever gyms, and then they have to be, a square, the most possible, because it's an operational area. We just, go there, adjust the walls, put down the walls, put shelves on that, and that's it. So it's not a super high capex, and also the opex is
Mm.
very controlled as well. So it's pretty much as we used to see a supermarket, right? But without the fancy stuff,
Yeah. Without all
and
the with
all the area is fulfilled with products. You don't need, to have a huge space for you to pass with the car, and you have, the signs, and you have the cashiers or whatever. It's not necessary. So it's something that you take every uh, square meter and take them out of most of that for operational area. So it's very interesting because it's not, it's super simple.
Yeah, interesting. I think I'd like to ask the audience when the last time, even myself, of when we last physically, you know, saw an operation. We think that e-commerce and retail and commerce is in front of a laptop, but there's this aspect which I think is really interesting. That you mentioned a few things there, which is inventory. I'd like to discuss that more. How do you manage? How do you manage demand? What's the secret? Is it good analytics, or is it 20 years of experience, so gut instinct? um how do you manage that? What's your key
Yeah,
there?
it's a combination of the 20 years with the analytics. The
Okay.
first thing is like, which is the challenge, right? When you talk about inventory here, um, managing inventory in one DC is completely different of managing inventory on 60, 100 dark stores, right? If the more pulverized the inventory is more complicated for you to handle.
Hmm.
When you are in a pure e-commerce player, you need more your inventory is centralized on big warehouse. Here it's not,
No.
right? So it's more complicated as, for example, offline store. But we have what offline store don't have and the major e-commerce have, which is the elasticity of the demand is brutal on the
Right.
e-commerce. Every tiny cents that you take, it's brutal because it goes viral. It's completely different from people's going to store. So
Hmm.
you have the most challenging things from both sides. So it's like the inventory is spread and the demand is brutal. So how do you solve that? Right, first, obviously, with the best analytics that we can. So we have we started with our own data engineers to build up our machine learning algorithms and all the replenishing systems, and we figure out how to do it. But at the same time, we have built a very responsiveness supply chain. So what's the deal? We place warehouses
Hmm.
on each city that we play one warehouse and just one, where we centralize every delivery from every supplier on that warehouse. And this warehouse drops every day to every hub. That's it. So you sell today, tomorrow you receive. So the window between two, drops is short. And then it's easier to predict demand from tomorrow than 3 days or 4 days or a week ahead, right? So it's this combination is very powerful. So having the right tools and analytics, and also the responsiveness supply chain that we have built. And this also it's very interesting because when we do that, the idea is like avoiding, for example, having suppliers delivering direct to the hubs. Because
Right.
when the supplier that deliver direct to the hubs, their service level is not good there. And also the hub has to stop what he's doing, for example,
Receive the
which
delivery
is to
in that
receive
moment.
delivery every time. So if there is supplier coming every time, we have I would say 500 suppliers, right? Imagining every time coming a new supplier to the hub, it's not, it's
Chaos.
insane. So
It'd be stop, start, stop, start over
yeah,
every
that's it. And
yeah.
then we have you place a warehouse where the suppliers they live, and you one drop to the hub.
So
Everything picked ready to be placed to the shelves
so
to the hub.
warehouse, or you call it a delivery center? Is that the right word?
Yeah, it's a
Delivery.
warehouse. Yeah,
A
it's a
warehouse, and
warehouse who
that's
fulfill the dark stores.
that fulfill the docs. So it's a fulfillment within a fulfillment. It's okay, but it's really interesting. It seems data is the key to this. It's something that while you're talking, is coming to my realization that clearly data is important. Um, do you pivot quite a lot in terms of your dark store locations? I'm guessing you're juggling and balancing density and demand, but data in
Definitely,
the middle. But then, are you pivoting quite a lot? Are you changing things on a
definitely.
daily
Yeah,
basis, I
definitely.
guess? Or
Definitely. We call it the polygons, which are the
okay,
areas which each dark store
right.
attends, right? And if the dark store increases
Mm,
the efficiency, then we can increase the polygon. So cover more area, more GMV with the same
more
dark
GMV.
store within the same SLA as fast as I can be inside a dark store. So
More
this is,
GMV, better SLA,
yeah,
the same. but increasing the coverage of that dark store by you
Yeah,
analyzing these polygons every day. Really interesting.
yeah, and there
Um,
is another thing on the Polygon that's very interesting, because when we placed the dark store 2021, we guessed
yeah, of
where is
course.
the
The
demand,
first
right?
one you guess, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's guessing. Then you see you have two dark stores here, but the core demand is more here.
Hmm.
And then you have a third one. Then you can close one, redistribute the polygons, and with two you have the same GMV than with three. So
Amazing.
that's part of the key of having of sustaining a good unit economics.
Yes.
Adjusting the polygons to increase density inside dark stores. It's
Amazing.
density is a key word here.
Density, yeah, it's definitely the key word. As
Yeah,
we, I can keep talking to you for a long time, but um, I have some questions that people have asked me in the week while I've been discussing with them. I've told them, hey, I'm going to speak with Haffer in the week, and they've sent me a few different things. We've talked about, we've covered a lot of them. We've covered store density, some of the keys to success. Um, a big thing that came up when I was having my conversations was, is quick commerce a sustainable business practice when the margins are so thin, or is this a common misconception?
yeah,
What do you
it
think?
is. It is. Is it easy? No. Have
But it
we
is
invented the
sustainable
quick?
greenhouse emissions because the less greenhouse emissions are occurring due to advanced pickup algorithms that the drivers are using. So I think it's a little bit too early to say with that, but I think it's looking positive. That actually reduces the
Yeah,
journey that I take. The driver is making far less stops, but all about the
yeah,
algorithm.
definitely,
Yeah,
definitely. Especially because I would say more than 30% of our deliveries are by bike. For smaller radios, they're way more efficient
definitely.
than motorcycle or whatever. So, and it's cheaper, it's more efficient, and it's sustainable. So I would say more than 30% is delivering bicycle. The other good stuff is like we advance the inventory, and the consumer don't need to go by car or whatever to
Exactly.
pick up that,
Yeah,
right?
you remove that journey.
I remove this journey, and I advance this inventory in a structured way, as I told you. We
Hmm.
are not delivering with hundreds of trucks
No.
there. We deliver it with one truck, right? So it's everything, it's aligned. It's
Yeah.
super aligned with this the sustainability, and it's something that we really really are into it. For
Yeah,
example,
I
there
think
there
so.
are the things that we do. For example, the waste eventually that we have, spoiled
Yeah.
products. We are piloting now, reversing it through the DC, and then donating it if
Wow.
they're still, yeah. So the same truck that goes to the hub comes back with the waste, and then from the DC we can donate or sell on
Reuse or
B2B,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
whatever, yeah. So it's something that is we are building up some capabilities also on the environment.
Really interesting, and I think quick commerce, is it the key to making e-commerce greener? Possibly, maybe that's a conversation for a different day. I think there's definitely something huge in that. Maybe in Europe we have a lot of conversation around this waste, greenhouse emissions. People are consciously buying, like you said, it's a different market perhaps. Last question before I let you go. Sorry, there's just so much I want to kind of discuss with you, but um something I've been thinking about actually, so this is a question for me, is quick commerce for impulsive and small purchases, or am I wrong?
Yeah,
That's
we
my
started with that. We started with this journey, right?
mm,
Because it's more, it's the, I would say it's more appealing, right? In terms of, you have goods, and we have a very good advertising and campaigns and etc. So it's fun, and
mm,
at the same time it's more profitable because then you pick the right stuff to place inside the hub, right? And that's key, because to control the burn you have to control the amount of inventory that you have, and more items you have, more burn you have, and more inventory, more burn, right?
yeah,
So starting with that, then now we know the customer habits. We know that Krish, for example, buys every Monday bread, and then we place an extra bread on that. So this knowledge, deep knowledge on the consumer behavior, on the which hubs are possible. making us possible to increase the assortment within the hubs.
Increase.
Uh,
Okay, scaling.
and scaling it with sustaining a very good days on hand, because this is crucial. The idea is like, I buy from the supplier, yeah, I receive the from supplier, I sell it, I receive, and then I pay. That's the cash conversion cycle. So I use the supplier's money,
yeah,
to sustain my cash my working capital. That's crucial, and you have to rotate your inventory very very fast to do that. And then we are growing the assortment sustainable, and adjust the assortment within each we don't have the same assortment for all hubs. The
no.
more tailored it is, better it is for the consumer and us for the business.
So it's
So
interesting.
it's
It could be that we see bigger purchases on there, but not necessarily. Not that it maybe not needed. Like maybe quick commerce actually it fits the retail angle really well.
yeah,
This is the market. This is the vertical, right? Um,
yeah.
Really interesting. As we draw to a close here, how can people learn more about Daki? I want our audience to get involved a little bit. What do they do? What how do they know more?
Yeah, I think we have a pretty some information on the internet, on our LinkedIn
Yeah,
page, or
you're on LinkedIn.
eventually myself directly. So I'm super
Exactly.
open. If you want to share to people my contacts, I'm super
Yeah.
always happy to chat.
Okay, awesome. And obviously, Happy, you're on LinkedIn. I encourage the audience to reach out to you, connect with you, ask some questions. If anyone wants to drop some questions in the comments of this video as well, we'll try and address those and come back to you. But Hafa, it's been awesome talking to you. I've really enjoyed it. I think I've learned a lot about a side of e-commerce and digital commerce and retail that I didn't, I wasn't aware of, I
It's
wasn't
like
thinking about. So
here.
yeah, link right there. Yeah, just there. Here, thank you. Thanks,
That's it.
backstage crew for putting that in there. Um, but yeah, awesome. Thank you so much for having a chat with me. Let's get another call in scheduled and get talking about the green side of e-commerce. Maybe I think we can
Amazing,
talk about that. Awesome, perfect.
amazing, Krish.
Thanks
Thank you
so
very
much.
much. Thanks for the invitation. Thanks for everybody who has been with us for these minutes. Very glad. If you have ordered Daki at the start, you have already received, I assure you.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, good point. Yeah, definitely received it in these past 46 minutes. But anyway,
Yeah,
thank you
that,
very much, and thanks audience, and we'll see you soon. We'll see you next week. Bye
that's
bye.
it. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Hey.